Hello everyone, back to today's video. We're going to have a look at the weather for next week, 10 days for today's video, which will take us to around the 3rd of May. We'll be able to extend out beyond that, the extended GFS and ECM ensembles. They run to around a couple of weeks. Got the ECM ensembles today. We didn't have those yesterday, but they are back today at the Icelandic Met Office. And we'll have a look at Beijing Climate Centre at the end of the video next 40 days. That will take us into the beginning of June, can you believe? So that will take us to the beginning of meteorological summer 2020. So I'll get on with all of that for you in a moment. But before I do anything else, I'm just going to say a big thank you to our latest YouTube channel members. So last week we started opening up the YouTube channel for membership. So for £4.99 a month subscription, you can get various benefits and perks. And it's been a big success so far, actually. So really surprised at the response to this. And I've got to say a big thank you to latest channel members, Paul and Karen Steer. Big thank you to Paul and Karen Steer for becoming our latest YouTube channel members. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for doing that. Paul and Karen are also patrons for Gaz Service, and they have also given us donations through PayPal as well. So very, very kind, very, very generous of the Paul and Karen. Thank you so much for your support for Gaz Service and for becoming our latest channel members. So thank you to all of our patrons and donors and channel members as well. These are very difficult times for everyone. I appreciate it's a very, very difficult circumstance for everybody at the moment, medically and financially. We're going through the coronavirus crisis. It's a health calamity, the worst health calamity we've had for a century, but it's also a financial calamity as well. And I appreciate it's a very difficult time for everybody. So just a huge, huge thank you to all of you who have supported Gaz through this difficult time, but primarily ads funded and will remain so. Ad yields, the revenue that advertisements are generating have collapsed over the past few weeks, it's fair to say. And so all of these other revenue streams like Patreon, like PayPal, and now like YouTube channel membership, they're all very, very useful for helping to keep content going while the advertisements are not paying out as much as they would ordinarily be doing so. So just a big, big thank you to all of our patrons, donors, and channel members for your support over the past few weeks. Our promise here is that we're going to keep going with the videos and with the uploads. We're going to keep recording, going to keep uploading to the channel and embedding to GazLovins.com. We're going to keep live streaming every Wednesday and Sunday as well. They're proving to be quite popular through this coronavirus crisis. So we're going to keep going for as long as we possibly can, but all of these extra revenue streams are very, very helpful in allowing us to do that. So just big thanks to all of our patrons, big thanks to all of our donors, big thanks to all of our channel members as well, and a special thank you to latest channel members Karen and Paul Steer. If you would like to become a YouTube channel member, then all you need to do is click the join button that you see here on the Gaz YouTube homepage, and with all of the videos on YouTube, just click that and it'll take you through a page where you can see what's on offer for channel membership, and also you can sign up. A few people have said that they can't find this button on their mobile and tablet devices. So the way around that is that there is a link in the description with all of the videos on the YouTube channel, and you can also now get to the sign up page to become a channel member from the homepage at GazLovins.com. This is GazLovins.com. We have these buttons here. So this one's for Patreon, this one's for PayPal, and this one is for YouTube channel membership. And on a mobile device, this is a desktop device, of course. So on a desktop, this is in the header space of the website, but on a mobile device, that will be found in the bottom of the page, in the footer space down here. So you can do it through GazLovins.com, you can do it through the description of videos at YouTube if you can't find the join button. That for some reason seems to show up on some mobile devices, but is not found on other mobile devices. That's a issue within YouTube. I'm sure they'll iron that out. They're rolling this channel channel membership scheme out as we're going along. So they're offering it to more and more YouTube channels. So eventually they will iron this out, and I'm sure you'll be able to find the join button on mobile and tablet devices as well. But at the moment it's rather patchy whether people are able to see that or not. But anyway, there are various ways to get around if you can't see the join button. Check out the description with videos on YouTube, and also you can get to it from the homepage at gazlobbies.com too. Right, let's get on with the video. I'm going to start off with latest observations from XC Weather, and it is turning out to be a pretty warm sort of early afternoon. Now we've gone past midday, of course. Pretty warm early afternoon out there. We've got 21 degrees flashing away in a few stations. So we've got 21 degrees somewhere around here. I thought it's flashing there at Gatwick. It's actually 20 degrees, but maybe that's been rounded up. Also down here, we've got Hertzman Zone at 21 degrees as well. Up into the Midlands, Church Lawford is in the mid-teens at the moment, as is East Midlands Airport. Going further north, that's Warcop. Again, mid-teens Celsius. Still quite chilly around these northeastern coasts of England. Going to get warmer through the afternoon. I think 23, 24 will be pretty widespread across many parts of England and Wales. I want total rule out 25, that's 77 Fahrenheit, somewhere in southern England this afternoon. So another very, very warm afternoon out there this afternoon. Do get out into your garden if you possibly can, and enjoy it. Of course, we are still in lockdown. We can't get out and about as we would normally do so. We have to adhere to the advice to stay home and protect the NHS and save lives. So you've got a garden, get out into your garden. But I do feel very sorry for people who are stuck indoors in properties that don't have gardens or in flats and whatnot. It must be very, very difficult, especially on a day like today. This is how the Arctic Oscillation Observed and Forecast chart is looking. So the black line is telling us where we've been, with the Arctic Oscillation red lines at the end, where the GFS ensembles are forecasting the Arctic Oscillation to go. So through most of winter, of course, we know it's a very positive AO winter. The Arctic Oscillation right now is actually very slightly negative for the first time really since sort of mid to late December. It's not going to stay there for very long, though, because we're going to see the Arctic Oscillation lifting back up into positive territory again as we come to the end of April. And then into the start of May, it starts to drop back towards sort of neutral conditions. Remember, it's only an index that's measuring the atmospheric state or driving anything in its own terms. It just tells us what the atmosphere is doing. So when the AO is positive, we've got low pressure up over the pole, and when the AO is negative, we have high pressure blocking over the Arctic and over the North Pole too. North Atlantic Oscillation Observed and Forecast is looking like this. So again, the black line shows we've been with the NAO, red lines at the end, where the GFS ensembles are forecasting the NAO to go. Been very positive with the NAO through the winter. The NAO did go negative at the start of April though. And for around a couple of weeks, actually, the NAO stayed negative, then it lifted back into weekly positive territory. That's where we are right now, around neutral. The GFS ensembles are forecasting that the NAO will stay around neutral for the next few days and then lift back up in towards more positive territory. So both of the indexes, as we come to the end of April and the beginning of May, are going to be in positive territory, telling us we may be entering more of a westerly phase. Actually, we may start to strengthen the westerly flow a little bit, which of course could be a bit more unsettled actually than what we've been used to. We see this on the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts from Penn State University for the next week to 10 days. We've got the ECM WF on the top and the GFS is on the bottom. So 500 millibars is an area in the atmosphere, high pressure and low pressure are being moved around by the jet stream running above. Red extrapolates high pressure, red and orange, to high pressure, blue to low pressure. You can see that with the ECM, we've got this trough of below average heights in the Atlantic, and we're bringing in westerlies. So that does sort of tie in with what we're just looking at with the AO and the NEO both going to their positive phases, probably strengthening the zone of westerly flow. We've got the Azores high down here, ridging in towards western parts of Spain and Portugal, and it all just looks rather westerly as we go into the early part of May. Remember, this is 4, 7 to 10 days time, so it takes us to around the 1st to the 3rd of May, and it is looking rather westerly as we begin May. The GFS is very similar, but if anything, it's a bit deeper with the trough of low pressure. So again, we've got the below average heights over and to the west of the country. They're deeper than compared to the ECM, so that actually looks very unsettled, bringing in a west-south-westerly flow, and the trough of low pressure would bring bands of rain as well. So an unsettled start to May is definitely being favoured here, I think, by both of models, but the GFS even more so than the ECM, but they would both bring bands of rain in from off the Atlantic, and probably relatively cool temperatures as well, to be honest. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. Looking at Chesterfield in Derbyshire today. So the red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Chesterfield. And by the way, if you'd like to have your local town or city feature within this section of video, just ask us for our social media accounts or email us at gasoffice@gmail.com. And we're very, very happy to feature your local town or city within this section of the video. But at the moment, we're significantly above the 30-year average at Chesterfield, with the upper air temperatures going to stay above average as well, gradually reducing into the weekend. It's not a quick process, but day by day we gradually shave off a couple of degrees from those upper air temperatures from where we are now, so that by the time we get through to like the middle of next week and the second half next week, we're actually a little bit cooler than average overall, but it won't be a particularly big deviation, I would have thought. But definitely a cool down taking place over the next week. And then moving through the first week of May, that's this period just here, overall quite close to average. There are one or two quite hot outliers appearing for sort of the end of the first week of May. This one in particular is a very hot outlier. But we've got one or two more. These ones around here will probably lift the temperature to below to maybe upper 20s Celsius if they were to verify. But they're not particularly well supported. Most of those ensemble members are keeping the upper air temperatures quite close to long-term averages. One or two outliers down here are quite cold, by the way. More so than temperature, I think precipitation is a big story as we come to the end of May. End of April and the beginning of May, because although we have a lot of dry weather through the next sort of 5 days, the very last days of April and into the first week of May definitely see a lot more in way of precipitation spikes. So that ties in with the idea that we strengthen westerly flow, and also that we bring in low pressure from off the Atlantic, as we saw in the 500 millibar high anomaly flow chart. That definitely implies that as temperatures begin to drop towards the end of April and the start of May, we go into a much more unsettled scenario with bouts of rain moving in from off the Atlantic. So maybe the gardens will finally get a little bit of a drink as we get through to the beginning of May. Temperature anomalies from the 23rd of April to the 1st of May, very close to average, possibly ever so slightly above, not a particularly big deviation. Certainly not as warm as it has been throughout large portions of April. And it does encompass, of course, some very warm temperatures that we've got at the moment. So it implies as we get through towards the very end of April and the beginning of May, we could well be seeing temperature going a little bit colder than average, if anything. Precipitation anomalies still more or less on the drier than average side, but starting to trend a bit more unsettled as well. So very gradually we're seeing a trend towards cooler and more unsettled conditions that will probably gather pace with those anomaly charts over the next few days. This is how the GFS is looking the Sunday. So on Sunday we're just leaking pressure away. It's not a dramatic flipping to low pressure. We just day by day gradually start to let the pressure out of the atmosphere, almost like releasing pressure from a tyre, if you like, just gradually deflating the high pressure. So on Sunday we're still relatively under high pressure, although it's weaker than it has been, and we could well see some heavy showers breaking out. Going through to Monday, well then of course we're beginning to look rather more unsettled, and this carries on through the course of next week. Eventually, by the middle of next week, we are actually starting to bring low pressure in from both the south and from the west too. So day by day, it just gradually gets more and more unsettled until we get to the end of next week. This is Friday the 1st of May, week tomorrow, and we've got a 990 millibar area of low pressure coming in off the Atlantic. Obviously, that's going to be much more unsettled, bring showers, if not longer spells of rain. And then as we move up towards day 10, we keep things unsettled. Low pressure is close to the country. We're on the cool side of the jet stream with that as well, so not only unsettled, but also quite a lot cooler too. In the more extended range, so it stays unsettled as we go through the first week of May, really, but it doesn't take long before we start to generate more ridging. So this is coming to the very end of the GFS run. Thursday, the 7th of May, we're beginning to ridge high pressure back in from the southwest. That's starting to turn us drier and warmer as well. And this is how we end this particular GFS run on Saturday the 9th of May. It's 384 hours away, so it's a very long way out. But we're under a ridge of high pressure. There's a lot of dry, and you would have thought reasonably warm weather on offer with that one. So after a sort of an interlude of about a week, maybe a bit less of unsettled conditions, we find our way back to high pressure quite quickly with drier and warmer conditions returning. This is how the GM is looking, so again, gradually weakening the pressure over the weekend and into the early part of the next week. Just starting to turn cooler and more showery day by day. Then to middle of the second half next week, then low pressure starts to come in from off the Atlantic. That looks really stormy, actually, for Friday the 1st of May. Look at that, deep low pressure. GFS doesn't show anything like that, but if it came off, it would give us about sort of late spring, early summer gales. I think the central pressure with that could be going down, looks like it's going down to around 965 millibars. So that's a very, very deep area of low pressure for the 1st of May. That would probably be a record breaker if it came off. It's very unlikely to verify, but it's still the idea, but we're probably turning more unsettled as we come towards the last days of April and the beginning of May. That's how we look on day 10, Sunday the 3rd of May. That low pressure beginning to drift away to our east, starting to pull winds back in from the north, so quite cool and still pretty showery. ECMWF looks like that. So again, same idea. We're gradually deflating the high pressure over the weekend. Into next week, it starts to turn more showery. Shallow areas of low pressure close to the country, bringing an increasing risk of showers. And then through into the second half of next week, we start to move low pressure in from off the Atlantic. A little bit different in the position of this low compared to the GFS, and nowhere near as deep at all as the GEM is with that low pressure. But again, it's the same sort of trend of weather systems beginning to move in from the Atlantic, starting to bring some showers or some longer spells of rain with them. So relatively unsettled as we come to the end of April and the beginning of May with the ECM. This is a precipitation type forecast based on that ECM run from TibetShow.com. We'll scoot through these very quickly because most of the days, especially early on, won't have any precipitation at all. Lots of dry weather coming up. As we get through to the early part of next week, though, it does start to turn a little bit more unsettled over the weekend into the early part of next week. Some showery bursts of rain around. And then by the time we get through to the 28th of April, we're starting to move wet weather up from the south. That rain quite heavy, pushing northwards across England and Wales before then clearing away to our east. And that leaves us with showers coming in from the west through the second half next week before some longer spells of rain begin to push in from off the Atlantic, heading up towards day 10. That's how we're looking quite wet, particularly in the north and west, not as wet over in the east. But again, it's a general idea that things are turning more unsettled as we get into the beginning of May. These options are on the table within the ECM Ensembles today for day 10 from the Icelandic Met Office. It gets us to the 3rd of May, as we've just been saying. So we have 24 members of the ECM Ensembles, including the control and the operational run, that have low pressure out to the northwest, and they're bringing in westerly winds and some rain, particularly to northern and western parts of the country. The 14 just here are even more unsettled. They have a chop of low pressure right over the top of the country. That could be kind of like what the GM is indicating. And then 13 have the high pressure up towards Scandinavia. Low pressure just being blocked a little bit out to west-southwest. That's probably the driest option. Could be the warmest option as well. 2 weeks time, these are the options that we've got. This one gets us to the 8th of May, have 18 members of the ECM ensembles with low pressure out to our north and west, bringing a flat westerly flow. 12 have us under an area of high pressure by the end of the first week of May. They have us under a ridge of high pressure, bringing a lot of dry, fine conditions. Another 12 up here have low pressure to our west and to the north too. High pressure, should say, to west and to the north, low pressure to the southeast and to the northwest. That's a very complicated pattern, but gradually that's probably settling down with those ridges. And 9 just here have high pressure to the north of Scotland, bringing in easterly winds. So again, the implication is there that although May could well start, or will start, on a relatively unsettled note, it probably isn't very long at all before we find ourselves back under higher pressure. Finally, the Bayesian Climate Centre, so these are 500 millibar heights broken down to 10-day periods. The first 10-day period is going to take us from the 26th of April to the 5th of May. The coming 10 days overall is dominated by high pressure above average heights ridging in from the Atlantic, winds in from west-southwest. We've explained that it probably turns a bit more unsettled by the beginning of May, but probably not lasting all that long. The next 10-day period takes us from the 6th through to the 15th of May. Below average heights up to northwest, above average heights pulling out into the middle of the Atlantic. That could be a little bit cooler and a little bit more unsettled as well there from the 6th to the 15th of May. Just a little bit more showery perhaps. Next 10-day period is the 16th to the 25th of May, with below average heights out to the northwest, above average heights or near normal heights over the UK. That's probably beginning to try and settle things down a little bit. And then we get through to the final 10-day period, which is the 26th of May to, as promised, the start of summer, meteorological summer anyway, 4th of June. And then we start to raise the heights to our south. Low pressure is deepening to the north. We're pushing the jet stream northwards as well. That's turning drier and warmer, I think, as we come to the end of May and the beginning of June. But it's not a particularly unsettled May anyway, to be honest. There will be a lot of dry and fine weather on offer with the Bayesian Climate Centre scenario for May. So we'll worry about all of that extended stuff when we get to it. But in the more immediate time frame, the situation remains as it has been, really. So we're looking at gradually reducing the pressure over the weekend into next week. Second half of next week, sort of very end of April, turns a bit more unsettled. And then that carries us through to the start of May. There could be showers, if not longer spells of rain, as we move into the beginning of May. But the trend still seems to be there, but the further on we get through the first week of May, we probably find ourselves going back into higher pressure. I would have thought by second week of May, we could well be looking at another spell of anticyclonic conditions. So just a little bit of a watering for the gardens for a few days, and then probably back to higher pressure again. But we shall see, of course. Now, tomorrow we've got JMA Friday coming up, which is the month-end look ahead. Also have a week to 10-day video update again tomorrow as well. And don't forget ENSO. We've got our ENSO update coming up tomorrow evening. We'll be bringing an update with everything El Nino and La Nina and whatnot related. And that will be tomorrow evening. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe with the videos. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give us a thumbs up, let us and also YouTube know that you have enjoyed the video, and why not drop us a comment and tell us what you thought to this video as well. But for today's videos, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.